Yes, Mustajab. Apologies. You can start now. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I'm gonna start today's session. So today is session 1 of 4. Starts with a video clip. I want all the kids to listen to the video and see what comes out of it. Yeah. So I'm gonna play the video.
Hi, I am Ali. And I'm Jack. Our road trip started with a trip to the beach, where we made some sandcastles, followed with a swim in the ocean. Then we cycled through the nature. Then we had fun in the snow. And finally, the trip ended with a beautiful sunset at the Blue Mountains. Our beautiful road trip has come to an end. We were able to see so much beauty. God has created everything for us, and we were lucky enough to see some of it, all thanks to God. What are you talking about, Ali? There's no creator. What we saw was nature, and there's no designer or creator. It came into being by itself. Wow, Jack, did nature make this beautiful house of yours? No, mate, don't be dumb. The builder made the house. Nature cannot make houses. Can we have a tour of your house from the inside, Jack? Wow, what an amazing house you have, Jack. It's got every single thing you need.
Darn it. This house has nothing in place. I'm just stripping and falling all over.
I wish my uncle could see that the house has everything in it. Everything we need for our use, and everything is in its place. You see, Jack, people are misguided just like a blind person in a well-furnished house who fail to see the building and its furnishings, just like your uncle.
All right. Did everyone saw the video? Hopefully was interactive enough for everyone to listen in. Okay, so look, I'm gonna start with the next part of what did we learn in the video. Okay, what is the basic thing we learned in the video? I'm just gonna give everyone 30 seconds. If anyone wants to type in the chat what they thought was, what was the learning of a small 2-minute clip. I'll just wait 30 seconds and then I'll start with the answers of what we saw in the video. And it's okay if you don't want to type in, it's fine. You guys can tell your mom and dad or think about the answer. All right, 30 seconds are up. So what we saw is there are two friends in there who went on a road trip, like we all are doing these holiday times, and everyone's going on a road trip to the beach, to the mountains, to the bush, hiking, ocean, trekking, all the wonderful things we are doing, eating ice creams and stuff, enjoying family time. So did these two mates, Ali and Jack did. What we saw in there was that Ali, at the end of the clip, Ali is a believer who believes in God, and Jack is a non-believer, does not believe in God. Ali believes that there is someone who created all of this, while Jack believes that there is no creator, there is no designer, and everything is all an accident. It just came by itself. So people who don't believe in God are called atheists. and they think they are a result of, as a famous poet Francis said, are a result of an accident. So they themselves believe they are an accident that happened in this world. And that's what the core was. So based on what happened in the story, we are going to move forward and see how it relates to the book and the information. So one thing to remember is, and I'm sure most of the kids do, God existed before there was anything, and he will exist beyond eternity. So anyone that just watched the movie Buzz Lightyear, he says the famous saying, to infinity and beyond. So something that is beyond infinity. Eternity means an infinity. It's infinite or unending time. So anyone that's thinking what is beyond eternity, which means infinite or unending time. So God will always, has always been there, will always be there. So even if the disbelievers fail to grasp the mysteries or underlying causes of the regions of the creation, or they remain unaware of the faultless ingenuity that lies underneath the creation of the varied species of the sea, the land, the level, and the rough. The level and the rough means, so the level is when you walk on smooth lands, but there are areas which are rough, like the mountains and others. There are species including humans, animals, birds, insects, bacteria, everything in this world, and everything has been created for a reason. Just because we fail to understand the reason, even if we can see things, we do not truly understand the reality of why they exist. And that's the idea what most people fail to grasp, and they become disbelievers just because you fail to understand. It's just like an example of the blind uncle that Jack had, who was living in his house. He could not see the things. And if by chance he does grab a things, he can't understand the purpose of it. So he thinks it is for no reason, right? You go to a house and you see no switches in it, and you will think, oh, the builder has done a mistake. How do I switch off an electricity switch? How do I switch off my light? But maybe they have built in AI like Alexa or Google, and you can say, hey, Alexa, turn this on, turn that off. And it works through this. And it is a new modern design, but you fail to grasp it. You're not a blind person, but in this example, you just fail to understand. You think, oh, what kind of a house it is? There's no switch. I can't switch it off. So we are trying to understand how the universe is and the existence. So universe, this entire universe where we live in Earth, on planet Earth, as we call it, is just like a well-furnished house, right? So I'll just relate to the examples for everyone. Is, look, we have sky, which is like a roof, like a canopy on top of that house. Or it is like a carpet that we can walk on. Imagine there was spikes all across the land. We couldn't walk on it. We couldn't build on it. We wouldn't have survived all these generations, right? We've got stars that are like lamps. And in this example of universe, what if one day we do go to Mars, we go to other planets, right? We do travel. The stars are like lamps that will be still guided. So the people who are sailors, they use stars for navigating. When we go into the space, we will be using stars to find the way as a means of navigation. Gems are like treasures that we have. That's what we use. And we are like a resident of that house, right? We are living in this world which has got everything. Sometimes we don't understand why a certain animal or an insect or thing was created, like a snake, like a scorpion, and we are scared of it. We don't understand the snake. So we don't understand the reason. I'm thinking, what's the point of having a snake or a dog or a cat, anything, or a lion? There are plant species. Now, some plants are used by animals as food. Some are used by medicines by humans. Some are just for decoration purposes. We decorate nice flowers in a bouquet, we give them to others. Some are used for fragrance. So all the perfumes that you use, the fragrance of it is extracted from the beautiful flowers, right? Some plants are used for nutrition. We got apple, oranges, all the bananas, fruits, plants, eggplants, potatoes. We use a lot of vegetables. They're all coming from plant species. Some plants are used by birds for their diet, and some plants are used by other, like goats and lambs. They eat some plants. So everything has a definite purpose. I'm going to start, before we go ahead, I'm going to start with the creation of man. And all of the things that I'm going to cover are from this book that was told almost 1400 years back, right? So all of the things that science is now discovering, as you will go, I don't know what the age group of everyone is, but as you go and study, some of you will become scientists, doctors, engineers. As you go and study in higher classes, you will study some of this stuff or come across in your life. And then I want everyone to think that all of these things which now we read and see was told at the time back then by the Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam. So the first step in the creation of the man is embryo. It's a very tiny, you see the circle over there. This is what it is. That little fellow is growing through its journey. It has 3 coverings. It is under 3 sort of darkness. So this was told by the Imam back then, that there is an outer wall of an embryo, there's a womb, there is placenta, and it goes through its journey. And in the second stage, before it reaches its second stage, at that time, you see it doesn't have any hands, legs, or anything. It is incapable of feeding itself. It is incapable of protecting itself. So the question that we have, and these are questions that I want all of you guys to listen and think about. Who gives the food to the embryo when it is incapable of feeding itself or protecting itself? So there's a special blood which is diverted in the woman, your mothers, which carry the necessary nourishments for that embryo before it continues and passes on its journey, right? It comes to a point where this little fellow becomes a fetus, which is almost the stage when it's getting ready. The skin started appearing, it becomes hardened in it, the eyes started coming, and finally towards 40 weeks, it is able to withstand the light, and it is ready to come out right into the world, and a baby is born, right? So when a baby is born, the baby survives only on milk. I'm sure everyone's across that that the food that the baby takes is milk. When a newborn baby only relies on milk. What if there was no milk? What would the baby have? Why there is milk available for a newborn baby to meet his needs while he's fragile, unable to do anything? And when it's born, it knows that it needs milk, right? So who tells the baby the milk? And the milk is necessary because the organs in itself, which we will cover later on, are soft and weak. And that's where we move on. When the baby grows in its journey after having meat, after having milk, it is ready, that the teeth starting coming in. So I've got a baby which got big giant teeth, so you can see it. So you can see that the teeth start coming in. There is a certain time when the teeth comes in. It's when the kid is ready to start chewing in, and it needs the next stage of nourishment. So imagine if there was no other food like plants, fruits, meat for any other kid to eat, and there was no other food, and the milk was the only. How would the other nutritional needs? So as we grow, our body needs like stronger bones, healthy immune system. We need fruits and other things which all require chewing, right? And the teeth start coming in. So it's part of the grand design that the teeth come at a right time when the child needs to start chewing. And why we need to chew the food? So it helps with the digestion. So when the food gets broken down into small pieces, it goes into your tummy, you're able to digest it easier, right? And as that child grows, it starts to have beard on it, right? And this is the sign when your hair is coming, like I've got a beard, you can see your parents, your dads would have beards. So you can see that is the child. There is a point in time when a child starts having hairs, and this is a time where it marks that he is no longer a child and he's moving into manhood, adulthood, right? That points it. What if the hairs never grow up? What if you just remain a child, right? So these are the questions we have to think. Why is there a time, specific time, that the hairs start coming on the face? And this is time to move on and you start growing up, right? And girls, why from the same embryo where we were created, we came into life, why a boy would have hairs, whereas the girl's face is nice and clean and there is no hair? What ingenious, flawless creation, all planned from the same fetus that came out. All this is done by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I want all of you guys to think. These are little things. Sometimes we are blessed with so many things. If you just spend a little time and think about, what I want everyone after this session is to think about smaller things and think all of this is done by Allah. What if He had not created this? Why it is part of that flawless plan. So as from a point of here, there is food from embryo which comes through a natural change. If there was no milk, the baby would have starved to death. We want to think about the timing of the teeth. Why not earlier? Why only at a time when it needs? And if an infant would remain an infant and we don't grow up, we would always be a burden on our parents, right? They would have to do the cleaning, clothing, feeding, everything for us. We won't be able to do anything. If you guys have little baby kids, or you've got cousins that are smaller, you can see that had hair not grown on the face, then they wouldn't have marked the end of childhood. So all of these things that I've told you are part of what we are thinking, right? So I'll just get your thinking engine started. Think about the things, all of the little things that we are blessed with. We just don't think about these things. What if I didn't had any teeth? How would I chew or eat anything, right? So absurdity of atheism. Atheism is the people who don't believe in God are called atheists. And absurdity means that something that is ridiculous, like ridiculousness about atheism is. What they say is the disorder and contradiction cannot be found within an orderly design, right? So if they're saying there is no designer, yet there is no disorder or contradiction. Anything produced without design will never be exact or proportioned. So as you can see, like if I have to draw an apple with a certain size, and if I ask you to draw 10 apples on a page, all your apples would be slightly different. It wouldn't be exact. A car manufacturing company who makes the car, they have a design. There's an engineer who makes the design, and every time the same car of a same model look exactly the same. There is no change, because it is part of a design and a plan. And when we talk about our design and plan, is about our basics of how we have been created. So I'm just going to move with this. So if everyone remember this little cute baby, I'll give 30 seconds for everyone to point out if they know this baby, who this baby is.
Bolo.
So anyone knows that who this baby is? He's very famous.
Baby boss.
Yeah,
Baby.
Boss baby.
yeah. So this is Boss Baby. Now, I want everyone to think, what if we, when we were babies, we were born with full intellect, full brain, we knew everything when we were born with. So imagine if now, if I ask you to go and visit in the Middle East where they speak Arabic language and you go all alone as a kid there, you would not the first time you will go there, you will not know the language they are speaking, the culture that they have. Yeah. And that's where you will get confused. Oh, why? So if we go and see, if a baby was born with full intellect, he would be overwhelmed with everything, right? So right now, as babies, we learn things slowly, step by step, and there is a reason behind it, that the babies are born with inferior intellect. They don't know things, so that there is love and affection with parents, right? So imagine if you right now, as you are, imagine right now you are in a baby body, like a baby boss, and your parents would have to clean you, clothe you, because you're just unable to do it, but you know everything as you know now. So you have to think about how this would react, right? So this is all, and again, to a point, this is all part of anything that is big or small. They're all part of a flawless plan which has no error in it. The point of why you become a baby, teeth coming and everything, I'm just repeating it, just making sure everyone understands what we are talking about. So I'm going to talk about some of the things that are related to us. So the saliva that flows out of the child, that is drooling out, keeps you healthy. And sometimes people feel like, oh, little babies, they're drooling, it's so much coming up. If had it not happened or you stop it, it could cause derangement. So kids that can lose their sanity, they can become insane, mad, because parents fail to realize the flawless design, that the drooling is so that the child maintain its sanity as it grows, right? And also the constant flow of the throat, right? We need our throat to be moist so that we can, if it becomes dry, it would be death for us. We would not be able to chew or swallow anything to flow down into our tummies. If it was not moist, how would something slide down, right? So this is subhanallah. Everything that Allah has created has a reason. We just have to think, right? So there are little things like your saliva, you're not even thinking about it. If Allah had not blessed you, you would have died, right? So I want everyone to think about. So now we've got some organs. These are general organs. Imagine, look, Allah has given us hand to handle business, right? So if you don't have hands, how would you hold a pen, hold your mobile, tablet, play video games, Xbox, PlayStation, anything that you do, you write, read, play, any sports, you need hands for it. If you didn't have any hands, what would you do? If you didn't have any feet, or they were stuck with no locomotion, no movement in them, how would you move about and go about places? You wouldn't know how to move about it. If you didn't had any eyes, how would you see anything, right? So the light that is reflected of the sun shows you colors, right? If there was no colors, what was the point of eye seeing any colors? And then the blue picture, the stomach. If you didn't had any stomach, how would you digest anything? If you didn't had any liver, so anything that we eat goes into our stomach, and it's processed there, it's broken down, and the liver processes it and creates blood out of it. It creates phalgam, it creates the white cells, the blood cells that go and help our body. Everything is created out of it, manufactured out of it. The liver does the hard work, and then it's all excreted out. The waste products are excreted out. It moved back, so we'll just move forward. Now there's a question here. When this was being told, all of these things were being explained, go back, think when you play your games or you watch old cartoons and movies and this showing old times where there was no mobile and others, think about all of these things being told when there was no book, there was no research, there was nothing available. So Muffadal said, master. Some people believe that all this is the outcome of the function, the work of the nature, each organ coming into existence as and when required by nature. So he's saying some people think, the atheists, the non-believers think that each organ comes into existence as and when required. This is what they think by nature. So I want everyone to listen to how the Imam responded. So the Imam responded with a question, and this is a very good question. So when you go in your school, high school, university, you would meet people and they have the same belief and they are non-believers. You can always revert to this question. Remember this well. Does the nature function in such a well-planned way? So you ask them, well-ordered processes, knowledge. So we ask them, does the nature have knowledge or power? So you ask them, do you think nature has knowledge and power, or the intelligence or the reason, or it is devoid of it, or it's absent of the knowledge and power, right? All nature is doing all of this without knowledge and power. So it could be either two questions that come here, right? So either the answer could be yes, nature has power and knowledge, or it doesn't have any power or knowledge. They could only answer you two ways, right? They can either accept it or deny it. What happens if they accept it? If they admit that nature has the power and the knowledge, then what's stopping them from having a belief in a creator, right? Because what we are saying is that everything is created by one who is the master of all knowledge and all power of the universe. Anything that we know, infinity and beyond, that is the omnipotence. That is your Lord, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is the creator of all knowledge and power. So what we are saying is, what you call nature is actually Allah. Allah has ordered the nature and the process to follow a design plan, and that's what does it. So what's stopping you if you're believing it? What if they go ahead and they say, oh, we don't admit that nature produces anything with knowledge and power, and it's just built it. So everything, why does teeth all the time come at the time? Why do every kid is born from an embryo? Why do they need milk? Why can't a kid be born with full intellect, right? Full grown in a small baby body? Why all of these things are happening? We have to think, right? So there is a plan. I can see it. Have you seen someone born an adult? There's no one born as an adult. Have you seen all of these things? You think, have someone born with full set of teeth? So what we are seeing is there is a design and a principle. So as soon as you see everything has a design and principle, and that's why I'm telling you why each organ has a reason, and I'm briefing it up for you guys. There is built upon logic. So their thinking will be illogical. You say, wow, it's illogical. You need to have a better argument. Either you accept that nature has done it. If they accept nature has done it, there is Allah, the creator. So it is obvious that the outcome comes from all-knowing creator who has created the process and laid it down. So there is a process, there is a plan, there is a grand design, there is a creation, there is an outcome. For everything, there is a reason. Nothing is created devoid of any reason. And this is how it comes, right? And the human body, we are using it as a logic. The different stages of the creation of the human is the logic, right? Otherwise, if there is no plan and flow, it should happen random, right? Someone born big, someone born with teeth, someone never having teeth at all. Because if nature has no knowledge and no power, then it's just doing random, right? You'll just randomly drawing things and things are happening. It's devoid of logic, but it's not the case. We are seeing a plan. Every family has a baby, a kid growing up, becoming an adult, a boy with a beard, a girl without beard, and you grow up, right? So I'm gonna look at obviously, look, baby born is one example of how babies are born. I'm gonna use an example because they're kids small and big. So I'm gonna use an example of a seed, right? So a seed grows from water, and the water comes from rain. the water from the ground evaporates into cloud, and the cloud is moved by the air to, and it makes rain. So if we look at the picture here of I got again, look, the same example of how a baby is. The seed is in an embryo. You can see there is a seed coat here. You can see that it goes, creates, you get it this, it gets its food from it, and the leaves come out, right? So if I look at there comes the wind, right? So if there was no wind, this fellow over here will not have water. The seeds are having water, right? So the wind comes and blows the cloud and it rains where it's required. This is all a process, right? So we have to think about just not our creation, that Allah has catered for all our needs, right? There would have been no food, no plant growing, no trees coming, if there was no process of wind, air to move the clouds, right? And no process of the water to evaporate from the ground. I'm just gonna have some water so my throat remain moist as Allah has created.
Mustajab, thank you very much. I mean, we can take this opportunity while you are resting. If anyone has any question, you can ask now. We can have 5 minutes for the questions. So if any kids or anyone has a question, please ask.
I think I'll continue if there's no question, because
No question.
I'll just
Please
make sure
continue.
that I can cover all of it, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have to have a question, you just have to think. You have to think all of the little things around you, what Allah has given you, you just have to think. That's the aim, right? So now you think about the excellence of man over animals, right? So Allah has created man, and you would have heard the word, of those of you read the Quran, that Ashraful Makhluqat, we are here. You hear the Maulanas telling you, the people telling you that we are created as excellence over the animals. So we stand straight, upright, and we sit squarely. We have hands to hold stuff, like I was holding this bottle. If I had no hands, or if I had no fingers, I wouldn't be able to. If my hand was like this, how would I hold a bottle, right? The design allows my fingers to move, to hold things, right? We won't be able to walk. And if we had only 4 legs and no hands, we would be walking. Then how would we do our things, like, going to school, writing, reading, growing plants and other things? We won't be able to so there is wisdom in the creation of how we have things, right? Grateful for the fingers. So we move on to the senses that we have, and as you learn in school, or those that have not learned will go to school or in later classes, there are 5 senses that are commonly known, which are seeing. So we got eyes to see stuff. I can see the screen, the book that I read. Now I want everyone to think, why are my eyes on my head here? Why are they not anywhere else as part of this design? If nature had no knowledge and power, eyes could have gone anywhere, right? So eyes could have been on feet. What would happen if my eyes were on my feet? They would be getting crushed and dirty, and I wouldn't be able to see anything, right? If they were on my belly, then I wouldn't be able to. I can turn my head. If I have to look behind, I won't be able to twist my belly so quickly. And as my belly grows, if I eat a lot of food and junk food, that will change the way I look at things. What if it is on my back? Then I wouldn't know anything at the front, right? So the eyes, if you look how everything we have, it's in its proper place. There was no better place to place the eyes. We have head, which is best suited location for the eyes. We can turn. If Allah had not created colors and the light would not have hit it, what would be the purpose of the eyes? We wouldn't be able to see the colors, right? If the ears, look, the ears Allah has created, they are like circular, they are like a prison cell. And why Allah has created like this? So that if the sound wave would have heard straight away, it would have damaged our hearing. And now we can hear things, we can withstand. And if there was no sound, and if there was no air for the sound to travel, so sound travels on the air. If there was, if it was space, if it was absent, we wouldn't be able to hear. Then what would have been the point of having ears? So we have to think about these things, right? So hearing, taste, we have a tongue, we can taste stuff, we can touch and feel things with your hands, you can smell with your nose, so you can know where there's some bun food or non-bun food, something that smells very nice like the flowers or like the perfumes that you use. That's all Allah's blessing that we have been given, and everything has a purpose and a reason. That's what we are going towards. Yeah. So Allah has created some things in single digits and something as pairs. For example, I have one head. What if I had two heads? Why not two? Maybe two were better than one. So I have to think, okay, there would be additional weight that I would be carrying on my shoulders, on my body, if I had two heads. When one is talking, the other has to be quiet. They would be useless, right? What's the point of having the other head with everything when one is talking? And if both are talking at the same time, it would be meaningless. We wouldn't be able to understand anything, right? So having one nose and one head has a purpose. But what if I go and say, um, if there was one hand as compared to two hands? If I had one hand, so there are things that you need two hands to, right? So if you play cricket, you need two hands to hold the bat. If there is a carpenter, he needs one hand to hold the board, the other hand to cut it. There are so many things that you think about, that you do, you need two hands to do them, right? And that is the purpose, right? So two hands but one head, right? One nose. So we have to think about the blessings. Now the voice, and don't be scared by the picture that is there, it is to show that if people think that the voice is being generated by my mouth, there's actual a tube called larynx, which is in the picture, but you can read it later on. That is what produces the sound that comes out. And the tongue and the lips and the teeth, they help with the sound to make it into letters and words. And if you think about it, and you can try it as an experiment, if someone, when you're little and you lose your teeth, you will see that you won't be able to produce the letter S, because you have to come close to your teeth. You won't be able to do that. If someone's lips get cut, they won't be able to say F, because you need to use your lips to say F. So practicing F, and you will see you won't be able to say it. If you didn't want, you will feel the lips movement. And the Imam told us that people who are unable to say R properly, they have got thick tongues, right? And the other purpose is of larynx is also used to admit air that we take into the lungs, right? So it goes to the blood and the heart. So for a moment, think, if Allah had not created this tube, or it couldn't take the air in, we would have died like this, death. So Allah has created this for us. We should be so grateful of, and we are thinking about the design and the flawless plan that has been created by Allah. So again, the tongue. So what does the tongue help us do? It helps us decipher and taste food. Oh, this is yummy, mama. This is not yummy. I don't like it. I like ice cream. I don't like something you guys don't like, maybe salad. And next time when you're drinking water, see, you control the amount of water that you take in. If you only want to suck a little bit, you use your lips, right? So you're not using your tongue, you're not using your teeth, the mouth. It's actually the lips that enables you to suck in only the specific amount. If Allah had not made the lips how they are, you would have drowned yourself and choked on the water that you drink, right? So see how how much blessings Allah has given. With everything, there is geniosity in it, flawlessness. And lips are like a door for my mouth, right? So when I don't want to talk, I can shut them up. And imagine if you had no lips to shut your mouth and you're sleeping and a fly or an insect can wiggle in and go in your mouth, right? While you're sleeping or while you're walking about. And things, there are certain things that have been protected, right? So see how the most important thing in the human body is the brain itself, right? For all of us to perceive the things through the senses and others, it is well kept, protected in the skull itself. So you can see it here in the picture. It's protected in the skull, nicely kept safe so that it is safe from damage. You see the eye has actually a screen. So your eye lid is the screen. It protects your eyes. The eyelashes are like strings, which helps it open and close. So which enables you to lower the screen, open the screen. Your eyeball is inside a cavity. So the whole of your eye socket, it's inside. So it's well protected, right? So your heart is protected inside in your chest. And there are ribs that are covering, which helps it, keeps it safe. There are ribs and muscles which protects the heart. This is all part of the plan, right? My throat has two tubes in it, right? So one of the tubes we discussed, which was the sound that comes out, the other goes straight into my tummy. So whenever I eat something, it goes in it. But it is very, if you look at in the picture, look at the tube. This is my sound tube that's going into my lungs. The other one is going into my food. Now, on that sound tube, there is it's called epiglottis. It's a covering. When you eat something, there is a covering over it, doesn't open, so that if it accidentally goes in it, sometimes you accidentally, when you're talking, and that's why the mom said do not talk while you're eating, right? But sometimes we do these bad things and we choke on it. The natural mechanism of the body would occur. You will start coughing and until that particles that went in come out of it and it's clear. Look, Allah has created all of it. It had gone there, end of me. So there are things that we have to be so much thankful, right, to Allah in our daily life, in just in our self life. So if I want to see Tauheed, if I only study myself as a human, I would see all of the ingenuity, the flawless design. And that's what we are trying to study. So what about hairs, right? So we got hairs and nails. Now, have you thought that any part of your body gets cut, you feel hurt? But when you cut your nails or the barber cuts your hairs, you feel no pain. Allah has made, there is absent of pain. It is devoid of pain when they are cut, both of them. But why we think about something, someone asks them, why couldn't the hairs only grow to a certain point and then stop? I'll just take an easier example. Why don't my nails only grow till they're required and then they don't grow? What is the purpose of cutting the nails and the hairs, right? So when you cut your nails, when they grow up, they can accumulate dirt and other things. But as we cut our nails every week, the body has certain diseases, ailments. It removes it out of our body. So we are able to fix ourselves as we go along. And similarly with hairs, right? So when we cut them, it actually removes it. Now we have to think again, think about it. If I had hairs growing on my tongue, I wouldn't be able to eat food. What if my hairs had grown inside eye? If it was not the flawless design, why are hairs only growing where they're meant to be with the purpose and not anywhere else, right? So these are the things we have to think. So we have to think about the stomach, right? So someone asked at that time, people used to say, non-believers say, oh, I wish my tummy actually had a door in it, right? So we can just get to a doctor, he can open and see what's wrong, take it out and fix it. But there is there is something to think about, right? So when the tummy, firstly, if there was a door, it would be leaking moisture. So anything that we eat, the acids that we have in our tummy, it will slightly leak out, and we need to change our dresses, and it would be so much inconvenience. And our heart and our tummy actually needs a certain temperature to work, right? So if it was open, if it's minus outside or too hot, your body from inside would be affected because it's open, right? So all of these things are what Allah has given us, right? So we have to think about the faculties, the 4 physical faculties, and I'll make it very easy. Look, we take our mouth to accept the food, it goes into our tummy. That goes in our tummy, the mouth is used for it. My tummy, my stomach actually holds the food. And then when I go forward, the liver actually extracts the food out. I've covered this earlier. So it extracts the food out, send the necessary things out, and then we have anything that is not required goes away, right? So I'm going to move memory and forgetfulness. Now, so Mr. Memory, which is pink in color, and Mr. Forgetfulness, who is there. So we have to think about, if we had no memory, Allah had given us no memory, wouldn't remember anything. So if I continue studying something like maths 2 plus 2, I would never remember 2 plus 2 is 4, right? Because Allah had not given me any memory. So there is a purpose of me having a memory. So if I give someone some money, then I can remember that I have to take that money, right? Because otherwise I wouldn't remember, right? So if I look at okay, so memory is great, and everyone thinks, you have to remember things. It's such an awesome thing to remember. But why forgetfulness? Why do I forget things? What's so beneficial about forgetting things, right? So if we as complex human beings, if we don't had the forgetfulness, we would never find peace, right? So if my pet animal died, or something got broken which I loved, or something got destroyed, I will always be in pain. I would always be hurt and sad, and I will never be able to get rid of the frustration that comes with it. That is why Allah has blessed us with forgetfulness. So sometimes you get hurt while you're playing, but you forget, and you again start going and playing. If you remember, you would be so scared to go and play again, because so there are some things, sometimes we fight with each other, but if we don't forget, and forgetness, we won't be able to get along and move forward, right? So that is the reason, wonderful reason, why Allah has created forgetfulness, that we forget and move forward with things. So Allah has given us the power to speech and write, and this is a great thing that is different between animals and us, right? So we got hands, fingers, we got the power to speak. What does speaking helps us in? Speaking helps us give our inner thoughts and feelings. How am I feeling? Am I feeling good? Am I feeling sad? Am I feeling sick? If you had no speech, Allah had not given you that power, how would you communicate and tell other people how you're feeling? You're feeling good, you're feeling overjoyed, love, and what does writing help us? We have got this finger, so we can hold the pen and write things. Allah has given the things for us to write, so that we can learn about histories, we can learn stuff, we can write, and other people that come about, they can know about the history, they can know about new things, and they can progress from there on. And this is also used for communication, right? So when you want to type a message to your friend, you want to send an email or a letter, you write. And there are things that Allah has restricted knowledge. I'm just going in with the time so I can finish some of it, so it's a little bit quicker. Allah has given us the knowledge about things that matter to us, and Allah has not given us about the knowledge of the unseen that does not matter, right? So Allah has given us, so if the knowledge that is given to us about ourselves and the things, which is enough if we really think about it, that the creator, the plan, and all of this exists. Allah has given us the knowledge about agriculture, so we can grow stuff, cattle farming, drawing water from wells. We get the medicines that is provided, that comes from herbal research. We do fishing and a lot of other things. But Allah has not given us the knowledge about a lifespan. How long will I live for? Allah has not given me that knowledge, or to anyone, right? Otherwise, we would be so sad and depressed that I'm going to die that I wouldn't think about anything and do anything in it. What about dreams, right? We get dreams. Sometimes dreams are true, sometimes they are untrue. If all dreams were true, then all of us would be like prophets, right? We would know everything because we know everything is true. And if all dreams were untrue, then they would be just useless. What is the point of having dreams if they are useless? So Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam has said, the good dreams that you get, they are the one that you should look after. The bad dreams that you get, they are just something from shaitan. You should not talk about it, not discuss about it. But good dreams, you can discuss and talk about it, right? So dreams are sometimes true and sometimes not true. When they're true, they are for our benefit. We learn something from it. And they are mostly untrue, so that we just don't only rely on dreams. Otherwise, I would be waiting for a dream to come before I do something. So Allah, which is my creator, which is everyone's creator, all of us creator, has cared for us and given us the earth to build homes. He's given us iron so we can build things that are related to metal. He's given us wood so we can use for fire, for building houses, for building so many other furnitures that we use. He's given us copper so we can use utensils, pots, so your mom and dad can cook exciting food for you. He's given us gold and silver, which we get from mining, which we can use for transactions. So in the old times, gold and silver was used for transaction. Now you use money, but it's still backed by gold and silver. So the country who produces the currency need to have gold to give it. There are gems for treasures, there's food for us. So everything has been well looked after. I'm going to cover distinctive feature. What if we all look exactly the same like these dudes on your screen, right? They all look the same, right? Then I wouldn't remember who actually I had a fight with, or who I gave money and who I had to take with the money. So I go to dude number one and I said, hey, you owe me $100. And we'll be like, hey, sorry, I don't owe you $100. Is the next dude in. I wouldn't know who to take with. So Allah has given us distinctive features so that we can do business. Why animals are not born different, right? They all look the same, right? All the lions pretty much look same. At least to me, they look the same. They are similar looking, and they may be different species, but they all look same. But all of us, we look different, right? Because there's one thing: animal don't have to interact and do business and trade with each other. We do have to. So we had to look different so we can recognize, okay, who I had a fight with, who I had a good time with, who are my good friends and mates. Otherwise, you'll be sitting with someone you don't like. So there's the reason for distinctive features, right? And I covered this. And also imagine if you had, sometimes those of you who have seen twins, you would get confused, right? So you'll be getting confused if everyone was looking the same, right? And the money that I owe someone, I would give it to someone. And someone else does the crime, worst of all, you would get caught because you like him, and that's what the police saw and put you in jail, right? So these are all the reason that we have, why we have distinctive features, right? The other thing that I want to cover is limited growth. Why, when I'm a baby, I start growing, but I come to a point like 20 years old, I stop growing, right? I'm still eating, I'm still getting the air, I'm still eating, taking the nutrient. Why am I not growing, right? If we had continued to grow like this due days, then I would probably I would be reaching high, I would be eating more food, I would be consuming more. Then we wouldn't be able to recognize, there would be unrecognizable limits that things will grow out to, right? So there is a reason that Allah has blessed us that we stop. Fatigue and pain. Now, this is very important to understand. When we move or do activities, we get tired. We want to sleep, and Allah has created sleep for us to sleep. But imagine if we don't suffer difficulties or hardness or pain, we would not stop doing bad things, right? Sometimes something bad happen, we get really sick, or we lose money, or we lose job, we go to Allah, we go to in the prayer, in the namaz, whatever anyone has, we go to our creator and we say, Ya Allah, please fix my health, please cure me. We open our hands to him, we go down, we bow, we say, Allah, fix me, or please stop me from this loss. We ask all of these things to Allah. As soon as we realize, we go the way we should be in humility to Allah, right? So, and if we don't feel any pain, next time someone gets hurt, we won't sympathize with them, because I didn't know what pain felt like, right? I wouldn't know how would someone is hurt, what feels like to hurt, or someone when someone is hurt, right? So these are things that I have to remember, right? So I'm going to go about, we're almost closing in. So some thought provoking: why has Allah created us in pairs like males and females, right? Why didn't, if it was no plan, no design, why was not everything created as male or everything created as female, right? We would have gone extinct, right? So if I want everyone in their room to have a look at a picture, if you have anywhere you go, if you see a picture on a wall, and if someone comes and says to you, oh, it has come by itself, it created itself and it hung itself on the wall by itself, you would go, what are you talking about? There has to be an artist, someone actually draw it, right? So, and if I say that this car that I have, it just came by itself, magically appeared in my drive, and I drive, it drives fast, slow, it has brake and everything. And if I say just got created by itself, all of a sudden one morning I woke up, I had 10 cars in my driveway, they came, you wouldn't believe it. Someone has to create the car, someone has to create the book, someone has to create things, right? Things that we see, the house that we see, someone created, the builder created the house in the story of Ali and Jack, right? So we wouldn't believe all of these things that are much simpler than the human body that we covered, right? The organs, the purpose of my mouth, nose, stomach, liver. Why are we not believing? Just because we don't understand, some people deny that there is a creator who has created everything, right? And these things that you have to think about it are this. So we're going to close up, and I'm just going to talk about what did we learn in today's session, right? And we have to talk about, when next time someone says there is no planner, there is no designer, there is no creator, then you would be able to answer that there is a designer plan. Why am I born as a baby? Why have this tube? Why have my stomach? Why have my liver? Why have two hands? Why have fingers? Why have one head? Why I have eyes? Why don't I look same? Why are we male and female? Why don't we walk on four legs? All of these things I want you to remember, and it's part of that plan. And we have to see all of the things that are created, even the plant, that the picture that I showed you quickly, and we were losing time. The water is required for everything. So the water and food are the two basic things that we humans need, right? But we need more water than food, because we can stay hungry for longer, but we can't stay thirsty for a long time, right? So, and we need water for washing our clothes, to do wudu, to give it to the animals, to give it to the crops. And that's why Allah has created water in abundance. You can go and get it as much as you want for your need. But for food, Allah has created us to work a little hard. If you want bread, you have to work out. Otherwise, if the food was already there, we would have become lazy, wouldn't have done anything, wouldn't have looked at it, right? So everything is created for a reason, and it follows its due process, right? No one is born as an adult, everyone is born as a baby. Teeth comes at a time of teeth. My hairs don't come on my tongue, on my eye, inside my eyes, right? So the planning that has gone in the creation, I want you to think about all of these things that we covered today. They are in the book. And then I want you to see the flawless merits that the creation has acquires by the design of the Almighty Allah, right? Everything is according to a definite measure. Nothing is given which is not needed. So sometimes you look at something and you feel like there's no reason. There is a reason, right, for it. We just don't understand right now. Maybe if we work a little hard down the track, we will find out what's the reason for it. So where can you read more about the things, right? So this is the book called Tauheed al-Muffadal. It is written by Syed Jazib Raza Kazmi. It is in very simple plain English for parents to get for kids. You can buy physically from Amazon, or this is the link that we will be sharing. It is available at Vilayat Missions. You can download a PDF, you can read it, and all of the kids that attend all the 4 sessions will be getting a special surprise at the end, right? And it's I mean, encourage you to read about all of those exciting things that I wasn't able to cover today, right? And the next session we'll be discussing about the animal kingdom, right? Why animals are created, what is the plan behind it, we will be covering as Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad, as he has told Mufaddal about it. We'll be covering it and seeing what exciting things are it. I hope that the session has at least given you something to think about, something to be thoughtful about next time in your life. When you have a discussion with a non-believer, you would be able to point them out. And I really hope you guys will read this book. It is an exciting book that tells you about so many things. And the more time you read it, as you grow and you read it, you will see the amazing things that Imam has told us almost 1400 years back, when we didn't had these tablets, computers, iPads and other things, right? And I'll thank Go to Learning and Intizar Bhai for giving me the opportunity to cover some of these things, and I hope you guys find it useful. Thank you guys, and Allah Hafiz. Intizar Bhai.